Hey, Dub Station. Hey, Jason. Yeah, I ended up deleting the stream from earlier in the day because something was wrong with the audio. And for the life of me, I can't figure out what it was. But it was clipped all the hell and back. It was crazy. But the meters were in the green here. I don't know. I ended up going the software, pulling all of the audio system, and then re-adding it, and now it seems to be okay. Let me know if it's clipped. Like, I mean, really badly clipped. My voice was like through a distortion box. Yeah, it's really strange. It didn't sound that way on my end, but then when I heard the stream after, it was like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? I don't know. I think it's okay now. We'll see. Yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah, it was, I don't know. I don't know what was wrong with it earlier, but... Just what I'm playing right now. So there's 3 instruments loaded right now. Hang on. One's a clip I did earlier of a Rhodes piano. Alright, so... And then there's a Taurus Minotaur droning under this Rick bass. But this is the Multipoly. Hey, Biscuit. Yep. This is an excellent synth. So I deleted the video from earlier where I was talking about the synth, so I'll babble about it a little bit. Pick up the hardware or get the software. The software's on sale right now, and it's a great synth. I would say that the hardware, if you don't need the key bed, because the key bed's better than the others of its siblings, but it's still not great. That's why I got the rack unit, because I just use the push for everything. It's a fantastic synth. Oh, Biscuit. Let's see. Let's see. Let's put a little something down. Shenanigans. Hey, yeah. Yep. It's a virtual analog. Although, it's more than that. Yeah, this one's actually live. It was live earlier, but I deleted that one because the audio was messed up. Hi, I sing. Well, and daylight savings messes everything up, right? We had daylight savings start today. In like the UK and other portions of Europe, it starts on March 30th, 2 weeks from now. Azio head. The effects are only in the synth. The effects in the synth are great. If anything, they're a little complex as far as in usage, but you can save the effects settings as effects presets within the synth. So like once you get a reverb set up the way you like it, you save it as a preset for the effect in the synth. Like the sounds are presets, the effects setup is a preset, and like modulation source, the sequences, the not the arpeggiation, I don't think. The sequences are. It's really interesting. Can you modulate the effects? Yes. So I've only started using this hardware yesterday. So I still have a lot to learn, but I like it. And the panel's real clean, and the shift functions on the panel are real clean. Some people have been complaining that they don't like menu diving, and I understand the little screen, but like I'm old, right? And that screen's at arm length, like I'm setting my finger on the screen, and I can read it from arm's length just fine. It's very clear, but you don't need to spend that much time there. Like everything on the panel is pretty well done. Like I don't find myself diving through menus. You can, some of the deeper stuff's in there, but like there's enough buttons and knobs that everything I want to get to is here, right? You can go through the oscillators with no issue. The screen updates when you change anything, And it's 4-part multi-timbral, which is like crazy for the cost. I mean, the third wave is 4-part multi-timbral, right? And that thing's 4 times what this cost. The build quality is good. The front panel's aluminum. The enclosure's plastic, and but it's sturdy. The knobs feel good. The buttons feel good. Here, let me kill this sequence. You could just hear the synth by itself. Hang on. So there's, I did this earlier, but I deleted that video because the audio was screwed up. So there's 4 layers playing. Okay, let me turn off. A and B are the same layer. Here you can hear A by itself. It's just this pad that I put together. It's like it's 2 oscillators. One of them's a wavetable. They're both wavetables. They're both the same wavetable, in fact, but they're being modulated slightly differently. Right, and so that's on layer A. And then layer B is the same thing, just, again, with different envelope timings and different LFO timings. So they sound similar, but when you play them layered together, it's kind of like a binaural sort of thing. If you've got headphones on, it's moving around a lot between left and right. And then the C layer is just a subdrone. And the D layer is a subdrone with a rhythmic thing going on. And when we layer it all together, it sounds pretty good. How many voices? I don't know. I haven't run out. 64, 40? I don't know. A whole bunch. Like, because it's 4 layers, right? So you need a bunch of voices. And you can get away with things. They're doing, it's doing smart things with the oscillators. So like the layered saw, the detuned saw, which is 2 oscillators, really only takes up 1. So they've got efficiencies in there. I haven't had any voice stealing happen, but I also play a lot of monophonic lines. So check the manual. Like you can go to the Korg's website and look in the manual. I'd imagine it's more voices than the other Mark IIs. So like the Op6 Mark II and the ModWave and the WaveState Mark II, they all have the newer Raspberry Pi compute engine in it. And this one's got a newer one on top of that. So, and those had, I want to say the Op6 has like 96 voices or something like that. So I'm not sure. Does it, let's see, Azio, does it have anything new to offer sound-wise? Well, I mean, it is a synth, right? So let's see, let's do this. All right. Let me turn off these oscillators. So here's one oscillator on one layer on a little lead synth. And if we go to the classic waveforms, right, it's got all your standards, saw, pulse, triangle, etc. I'm not really here to do a synth review, but I'll indulge you. Like how detuned do you want it to be? So it's got all the basics there. And it's got a whole bunch of wave tables. Basically all the same wave tables that are in the mod wave. Like there's a buttload of them. And essentially, let's see. Right. You can scan through them. This preset is currently, I've got this set up to modulate through some, do some scanning. But let's layer it with another one. Oh, and then there's another whole family of, they're calling them wave shapers. They're single cycle waveforms, but they're West Coasty, so you get a lot of wave folding. Right, so you can take a silent wave, bring it down an octave, hold on. Right, very familiar folded sine. And then you can slew it or squeeze it. Right, and that's tied pulse width modulation. So it's got a pretty good set. I'd say it's got an excellent set of sound sources. You know, what I like about it is it's got a whole bunch of different filter emulations, and 4 layers. 4 layers, that's unheard of. And it's 4 oscillators per layer. You know, ring mod, cross mod, noise, all the brouhaha. Really nice modulation options. But again, I've only been using it for about 36 hours now, and I already love it. But if you don't want the hardware, I think it's a good deal. It's, I think 900, 850, something like that for the hardware. But they just released it's like all over YouTube now. They released the VST version of it for $150 or something like that. So, and if you have the hardware, you can get the VST way cheaper. So I grabbed the VST as well, and they're identical, which is nice because I sit on the couch with my laptop and basically do sound design on the laptop with headphones and a little grid. And then when I get the sounds I like, you know, like this, I just dump them in the hardware. I mean, I built this on the couch this morning, drinking a cup of tea while my wife was watching the news. It's the best. I mean, I like working in my studio, right? But doing sound design, you know, with my dog at my feet, you know, it's very the new Norman Rockwell. We're doing sound design, you know, Courier and Ives Korg style, you know. Let's see. So what does this one give you that the other 3 don't? So this is a slight variation, basically. So if you're going to put them in a family, Op6 kind of stands by itself, okay? Because it's the FM beastie that sits by itself. It's an excellent synth. I like it a lot. And then if you take this, the multipoly, and then the mod wave, and then the wave state. So we'll start with the wave state. The wave state has your synth stuff plus sampling, and you can sequence the samples. All right, so it's got this sort of wave sequencing from a sample perspective. The mod wave has samples plus virtual analog waves, and you can sequence the waves, right? But you don't sequence the samples necessarily. And then this thing, like those two overlap a little bit. And then this sits over on the other side. So mod wave going into the multipoly. Multipoly is really VA strongly with extras like the wave shaping stuff. And then from a layer perspective, the wave state has 4 layers, the mod wave has 2 layers, and the multipoly has 4 layers again. So they're very related, but they don't, they're different enough that I use them differently. Here, hold on, hang on. I'll do it next Sunday. Next Sunday, I'll do a stream with all 4 of them sort of queued up. We'll see where it goes. But if you have the mod wave, you should consider this one, right? Because there is a lot of overlap. But this is the new hotness, right? Bigger, better. Redesigned software, the filters are redesigned, things like that. And it's got a lot more processing, so it'll do more, allegedly. Again, this is not a synth review. I don't have metrics, but I have 48 hours worth of experience, and I'm liking it. And I've got a ton of experience on the mod wave and the wave state, and I like them, and I like this more. But I'm not going to get rid of them. The wave state, it definitely is different from this sonically. Being able to sequence those samples on the wave state gives you a completely different sort of domain you're working in. There is wavetable modulation, go shenanigans. You can modulate almost everything. I haven't found anything I can't modulate yet. And it's got some mod processors. Each layer has 6 sort of, if you've ever used Kurzweil synths with a vast architecture, they've got these things they call operators that are basically doing math. It's like CV math, modulation math. They've got 6 processors per layer for doing logic and math stuff. So gates, sums, curve, altering the curve of certain things. A lot of function generation stuff. So from a modulation perspective, you have a lot of options here. So let's see. It runs great. The VST runs great on my M1. So I've got an M1 MacBook Pro, and I had 8 it's got 8 performance cores in it, and I ran 8 instances of just noodling the same thing across a few different variations of like ARPing and pads. And I had 8 instances of it running, and it was consuming like 30% of my CPU. It was reasonable. Right, benchmarks are, mostly bogus, so, your mileage may vary. But on my M1, it ran great. So this whole Korg model where they've got the hardware and then they've got the exact same thing in VST is fantastic for me, because I sit on my couch, I do sound design, I dump it on the machine, I play and jam in the studio. It's fantastic. And when I'm working on music production, having the VSTs is great because you can save what you're doing, hit save, close the laptop, and walk away. Come back an hour later, open it up, and start right where you were. You don't have to worry about anything. And on my other hardware synths, I can't do that easily, right? It's doable, but being able to just be, I'm old and lazy, man. I like sitting on the couch doing composing there. And I come in here to jam or get inspired. Touching the knobs is very inspiring. But when I'm working on a hardware synth, being able to, if I have an inspiring moment, save my project, knowing that I could load the VST and it'll be the same as the hardware is pretty awesome. And that's across all 4 synths in the line. I really like that. Wookie, you looked it up, 60 voices? Cool. So that's plenty. Across 4 layers. I'm glad multi-timbral synths are coming back. My first serious synth was a D10, a Roland D10, and it was 8-part multi-timbral, and I used every one of those parts. A little personal orchestra, right? The mod wave is the closest thing to this. Wave state and Op6 are further away from this. Mod wave is similar, but mod wave only supports 2 layers. And I think the mod wave is 2 layers, and it is 2 oscillators per layer and 1 filter per layer. This is 4 oscillators per layer, 4 layers, 2 filters per layer. And Yeah, so there's a bit more going on here. I mean, you know. Hey, Wabbit. Yeah, Wabbit, the stream earlier, the audio was really bad, terribly clipped, and it was something weird in my system. I had to like remove all the audio mappings and then re-add them, and now it's behaving. Let me know if I sound like incredibly distorted, like I'm talking through a guitar pedal. Let me know, but on my end, the meters are clean, so... Serious question from Wabbit. Should I buy the VST versus the hardware as someone who just messes around? The VST is way more cost effective, and they sound exactly the same. Thank you, Wabbit. The audio sounds good. Great. It really comes down to, do you need knobs to touch, right? Because sound-wise, they're identical. Yeah, voice stealing is, problematic if you've got, let's say you've only got one layer, but you've got 8 voices. You're going to get voice stealing if you use unison or you double anything up that consumes voices, right? So, and with 4 layers, you're going to need at least 16 voices, probably, and 32 would be better. This has 64 or 60. So, and who knows? We'll see what happens. I think on like the Nord A1 that I had, another virtual analog, that's 4-part multi-timbral. It had, I think, 24 voices at launch, and then like a year later, they worked out some efficiencies in the code, and it suddenly went to 28 voices. I could have those numbers wrong, but the voice count increased over time. That might happen with these too. I mean, don't count on it, but... Anyway, so this is a preset I made earlier today. And then there's this lead that I'm working on that's still not done. But, I mean, I don't want to go through all the presets, but there's a lot of, stock stuff. Analog horns. Whoops. And all the effects are really great coming out of this synth. Like most synths, most hardware synths I have, I turn the effects off and just use effects in the box because it's way better, generally, typically. But these are great. So this is just the synth itself. And I'm not going to go there or there. No. Everybody always does a THX kind of thing. Oh my God, what just happened? The Dune Highliner just arrived. That's right out of... If you watch 1984 version of Dune, when the guild shows up and their spaceships appear in orbit, that's the sound you hear. Whoever did the sounds on this thing is totally a Rush fan too. The very first sound that opens, that it opens to, the preset, is called Tom Sawyer Sweep. And then there's this one called Camera Eye. That's right off of the Camera Eye, the tune by Rush. It's awesome. Let's see. What are you guys talking about? Let's see. Catching up on the chat. All 4 oscillators is going to chew up those 60 voices. A simple triad would use 12 voices. Yeah, I mean, luckily I do a lot of monophonic lines, right? Right. But at the end of the day, right, you use all 4 oscillators on a layer, and then you use 4 layers. So when you play one note, it's chewing up 16 voices, right? So you can get away with a three note chord, right? But when you have that 4 oscillators and 4 layers playing together, what are you going for, right? If you're trying for like the ultimate super saw, there are oscillator models in here that are already detuned layered saws, right? So you choose to use one of those, and then you only need to use 1 voice instead of 4, right? And personally, in my experience, adding more oscillators after a few, say 8, right, to you want that particular, you're doing like a Reese bass or something like that, it's diminishing returns. It's just not that good to keep adding stuff, right? Use those for other things. Anyway, the camera eye. I mean, that's my opinion. That's my philosophy. You can, obviously you have your own, and that's fine. So there was a bug in the VST that I noticed the very first day. I put in a bug report, and I don't know if I was the first person to get it in, but they sent me a thing saying, hey, thanks for reporting that. And our QEs found it, and they're going to fix it. And they fixed it the next day. So, you know, they're working it. It's not like other companies where you report a bug and it's like 3 months before they get it fixed. They're pretty responsive. Next serious question from Wabbit says, is there something about the Korg VST, as that's what I'd look at, that's not in Arturia V collection, Pigments, or UE Falcon? No. So if you just base it, Wabbit, on the sound that comes out of the speakers, most modern synths today, Pigments, Falcon, this thing, stuff out of Native Instruments, most stuff can make the sound of everything else pretty well, right? It comes down to, when you're using it, does it feel right for you? Now, the VST for this is available, I think it's available as a demo. So you can download the demo and try it. I think. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure if you install Korg's little software pass thing, you can try it as a demo and see if you like the UI and things like that. I'm not super UI driven, but the UI in the VST here is nice. And the UI for this synth, the VST version of the synth, is different than the editor UI if you just have the hardware. So if you buy the hardware, you can download the free editor, and it's fine. It gives you a nice, if somewhat boring, layout. The VST UI is very different from the editor UI, and I find it very pleasing and easy to understand. But in answer to your question, will this do things that you couldn't do in the V collection, Pigments, or Falcon? No. I mean, this has a slew of filters being modeled. They have a slew of filters being modeled. Are they going to sound the same? Some of them will. Some of them not so much. You know, I have the V collection. I don't lean on it that much, though. I'm enjoying this more. Now, this could be some form of confirmation bias. Everyone knows that the last synth you buy is always your favorite, right? It's just the way it is. It's the newest thing for your collection, and it's the last one you bought, and typically it will be the one you like the most. And this is currently the most recent synth I bought. So I'm well aware that I'm in a honeymoon period. But this purchase was based on my experience with the other 3 Raspberry Pi Korg synths, right? The Mod Wave, the Wave State, and the Op6. And those ones I still like, and it's been almost 2 years. And I'm not planning on getting rid of those. And this purchase was informed by my use of those, and I like them, and I bought this, and I'm happy with this. So that's where I'm at. Your mileage may vary. So let's see. So hey, Recon. Hey, Engine 9 Samal. If anyone snuck in and I missed you, I'm sorry. Farid, is it Shafai? He asks, could WaveState act as a MIDI controller for Multipoly software as a combo? Well, if you're talking WaveState keyboard, can use it as a MIDI controller? Yes, you could. You just got to run it into whatever your host is for hosting the Multipoly, but yeah. And the sound's not distorted now. Thank you, Garen. And Wabbit confirmed earlier as well. There was something weird going on in my streaming software where the levels like jumped like 12 dB on the output channel, and even though it was set at Unity, I don't know why. I had to remove the audio mappings, like disconnect the hardware, reconnect the interface, remap it in, and now it's fine. So I don't know, something happened, system upgrade, something like that. But Farid, you should be able to do that. I mean, that's just like MIDI. Can you do a MIDI layer? Yeah. Icing the Body Electric says, I still find it weird after all these decades that Rush are regarded as prog synth touchstones. My sense at the time in the 70s was that they were kind of a metal band. Well, yeah, they were. I agree. Like all bands that have, 40-year careers, they have eras, right? So they started out as hard rock, metal. People were like, oh, it's Zeppelin, but with a squeaky voice, right? And then they become more proggy. 2112, certainly. That's a prog concept album for sure. Not like Yes, prog, but I wouldn't say it's like art rock, but it's definitely rock in concept. Right, and they kind of did their own thing. And then they went, into the 80s synth era. They transitioned. Right, Grace Under Pressure, very synthy album. What was it? One of my favorite Power Windows, right? As Rush albums go, Power Windows is probably that and Hold Your Fire, the sort of the peak of the synth Rush era, right? And then they rolled back to hard rock later with like Counterparts and everything that came after. So, let's see. So yeah, the Hydrasynth UI makes sense to you. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good panel. That Hydrasynth panel, well engineered, right? Totally stolen from the Ensoniq synths, but that's okay. Inspired by, not stolen. An homage. Garen says the Polybrute is still his favorite, but the Multipoly is one that he'd take if you had to bug out. Yeah, I don't like answering the desert island synth question. Like if you could only keep one of your hardware synths, which one would it be? I have always hated that question, but right now it would be this, for sure. The Wookiee asks, I don't think this is a Raspberry Pi based synth. Yes, I believe it is, actually. Although I haven't opened it up. Give it some time. I would imagine it is. The back, the ports and everything like that are all exactly in the same dimension and layout and distance between them as the others in the line. And when it boots, this boot sequence sure looks the same. I think it's just a stronger compute engine, personally. Because that's what they did when they went to Mark II and the other ones. They kept the hardware is almost exactly the same, except the Pi compute engine bumped a version when they went to the Mark IIs. So I'm assuming this is like a Mark III. But some of the presets have a date on them that says 2023. So they've been working on this for a while. I don't know. Jason, you got to roll. Don't go be a dad. Have fun, man. I'll see you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I work with Toroid Labs. Both are at the same company. So I did this earlier. I'll do it again. So this sound is 4 parts. It's here. I'll just turn off. This is just one layer. On the first layer is 2 wavetables. Okay. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. These are just 2 wavetables that are being modulated by LFOs and the envelope. Right, so you're getting the sort of folding, phasing, pulse width modulation behavior. And they're panned slightly to the left. And then on B is the same thing, panned slightly to the right. But on layer B, all the timing is slightly different. So the LFO is running at a little bit different rate. The envelopes have slightly different attack and delay timing. So when I play these 2 layers together, you get like pseudo binaural behavior. It moves around your head. Right? So that's sort of the basis for the sound. And then layer C is just the sub. And layer D is a sub that's pulsing. And the C and D layers, as you move up, their volume is modulated down. So when you get to the top, it's pretty quiet. And C and D are monophonic, whereas A and B are polyphonic. So, and it's low note priority. So when I play a chord, the lowest note will be the sub notes. So layers C and D will play whatever note is lowest, and layers A and B play everything. Cool. Thank you, Garen, for answering Fareed's question. Is it heavy? No, it's the same. It weighs the same. Although, to me, it feels very light because I've moved my ModWave WaveState Op6 into this really heavy aluminum enclosure. We disassembled it and took the keyboard off it and made it a desktop unit. And it's in this aluminum box that's quite heavy. So this is much lighter. I wouldn't say it feels like a toy. The build quality is good. Front panel is aluminum, but the back is plastic. The jacks are plastic. Well, they're 1/4 inch. They seem solid. The jacks on all of the others were the same. It's the same design, the same part. So I got no problem with build quality. It's not built like a tank, but it's built like a decent unit. So, yeah, so we got to confirm that it's a Raspberry Pi. Yeah, it's a Pi, and that's fine. I sing, going back to Rush, say they've got a high prog phase, and then the first albums were like psychedelia. Oh, you're talking about Pink Floyd. Okay. Nerds. Prog nerds. Oh, Yodan Hunter, welcome. If you're new, I don't think I've seen you before. Here, let's do this. Let's put a little drone under here. And we'll drone that. We'll put a little Rhodes. Hang on a second. Let me just record a quick 16-bar thing. Where am I at? think I've got a wrong note in there. Not wrong, but outside the key. Yeah, down here. Nah, that one's fine. I can live with that. Genres and micro-genres, I agree. You can go either way. Genres are irrelevant, and every artist has their own genre. I kind of like that sort of approach. We kind of need genres to bucket things, right? Humans like to classify. So if only so that you can help people. If you think of genres as assistants, right? You put things into genres or categories in order to assist people in their search for something that sounds the way they like, right? Now, other people challenge that and say they should listen to all sorts of things and then discover new things, and I don't disagree with that. But getting pigeonholed sucks. But, you know, never being discovered because someone miscategorizes you can be annoying too. So I don't know. There's no simple answer to that. I feel bad for new artists who, so like you talk to people who are new to the synth community and they're like, I want to make music just like this person. And there's nothing wrong with that. They can go do that, and that helps them learn and have a target. And eventually they'll cross over and start making something that is theirs. And that's fine. Question from Gazinagons. Does that come with the rack ears in the box? Yes, it does. The rack ears were attached to it when I took it out of the box. There's actually a really interesting diagram in the box. So the way the rack ears are attached, you can pop them off, flip them upside down, and reattach them, and they're angled such that they become feet that holds it at an elevated angle. So when it's sitting, you can have it sit on the desk with like a 30-degree angle, or you can invert the rack ears and it'll sit at like a 45 or maybe 60-degree angle. It's pretty nice. See you, Wookie. I'm gonna probably shut it down pretty soon too. I gotta work tomorrow. Let's do this. Change the bass around. Put a little beat on it. Hey, Tracy. This is the Multipoly from Korg. Thanks, Tracy. Ah, I missed the downbeat. I suck. Oh well. Never perfect. Anyway. All right. I think that's good for tonight. So the reason I got back on, so we streamed this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern, and I went and listened to the recording afterwards, and it was all messed up. The levels were clipping like crazy. It sounded terrible. So I deleted that and was like, let's just figure out what exactly was wrong. Worked through the system, found the bug. Well, I didn't find the bug, but I found what the sim was causing the problem. I found something suspect that was making the audio clip. Wiped that out, reinserted it. Now it's fine. So this was really just a big test. So thanks, Biscuit. I'm glad you had a good time. Really, that's about it. So this will live on, and I am going to, what time is it? It is 8:12 p.m. I should probably go spend time with my wife. My wife had a tooth extracted Friday, and so she is spent the day yesterday just sort of trying to stop bleeding, and then today she is just eating soft food, so baby food and Jell-O, mashed potatoes. So I'll go sit with her and give her some support. And thank you, everyone. I appreciate the time you spend with me. And as always, have fun, and I will see you next Sunday, if not sooner. All right? Have a good one.